Good morning, everybody. This is Liz Schote, registered dietitian and director of clinical nutrition here at Jackson Purchase Medical Center, doing another Learning with Liz lesson today. So, last week I talked about that this is February and it's Heart Month. And so I'm going to try to touch on all of my topics this month, talking about heart health, and just to kind of educate us all a little bit more about what we need to do with our diet, what our cholesterol numbers should be, and just to give you some helpful information with that, to help us out with our heart. It's very important. So today I'm going to talk about what our lipid levels should be. So if your doctor does a blood test on you called a lipid panel, they are checking to see what your total cholesterol is. They're looking to see what it's called HDL, or high density lipoprotein, what that is. They're looking at another type of fat called an LDL, or a low density lipoprotein, and then they look at your triglyceride level. So it is very important to have this lab done, especially if you have family history of heart disease. Also, probably as we get a little bit older, the docs need to make sure that they order this for you. A lot of times they'll just do a total cholesterol, but it's better to do the lipid panel, and that way you can see the whole picture of what's going on with your lab work. So I'm just gonna, like I said, I'm gonna explain to you what the normal should be. We'll attach a paper for you guys to look at that has all of these on there, so if you need to look at it later on or use it for a reference with that. So the first thing, we're going to talk about what our total cholesterol should be. We need to have cholesterol. Cholesterol does many things in our body that's important, but if we have too much cholesterol in our body, then that's what can lead to blockages in our arteries or in our veins. It can affect like our veins in our heart, our veins go into our brain, and in other places. So like I said, you gotta have it. It does some good things, but it also does some things that's not so good for us also. So our total cholesterol, what our goal is from the American Heart Association, is it should be less than 200 milligrams per deciliter. That's the magic number, less than 200. 200 to 239 is considered to be borderline high, and then above 240 and above is considered for a person having a high blood cholesterol. As I've said before in the past, there's many things that we can do to help with that level. Diet is a huge thing. Sometimes people have to also go on medications to help with that, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about the diet part actually next week when we do our lesson then. Then we have our HDL, or high density lipoprotein. That's a long word there. And this is the good stuff. We want to have a lot of HDL, because HDL is actually a very protective measure for us. What HDL does is it actually picks up free-floating cholesterol and plaque, and actually takes it back to the liver, and the liver eats it up. So we want to have a lot of HDL. For men, what's considered to be low is less than 40, so they want to be 40 and above. And for women, what's considered to be low is less than 50. So in other words, we want it to be 50 and above. So the higher that number is on your little lab slip, if there's an H beside your HDL, I always tell people that's a good H to have, because we want that to be as high as it possibly can. Now, of course, diet can affect our HDL level, but also exercise is the biggest thing that can help that HDL level go up. So we have the good guys, the HDLs, and then we have the bad guys. And the bad guys are the LDL, or the low density lipoprotein. What this does is it picks up that free-floating plaque or cholesterol, and actually can take it to where we have blockages and add to that blockage. So this number we want it to be low. You can have somebody who has a cholesterol that's 180, but might have a really high LDL, and that's not a good situation at all. So what should that number be? So with people who have heart disease, oftentimes their cardiologist may tell them that they want it to be 100 or below. Some cardiologists may even say 70 and below. But that 100 is the mark really with that. 100 to 139 is considered to be near or above optimal. 130 to 159 is considered to be borderline high, and then 160 and above is high. It's not really good when somebody has a really high LDL level. So our diet has a lot to do with the LDLs, and like I said, next week we'll talk a little bit about what we can do diet-wise to help with those. But like I said, you can have a lower cholesterol level and that LDL level be higher, and that's not a good ratio to have. Then another fat that's in our lipid panel is called your triglycerides. And I usually tell people it's a cousin of cholesterol. It's just the best way to kind of think about what triglycerides are. In the past, it was important, and then it wasn't, and it wasn't important. But now, yes, it's important to know what your triglyceride levels are. What the magic number is with triglycerides is we want to be less than 150. So the lower that number is, again, the better that it is for a person. Our diet, yes, can make those triglycerides be elevated. Also, family history can make triglyceride levels be elevated. So diet is very, very important. And then sometimes some people have to go on some medications to help that triglyceride level come down. So it's important to know what your numbers are. If you don't, ask your doctor. If they've never checked your lipid levels before, ask your doctor. Say, hey, let's do a lipid panel and we can see what your numbers are. Especially if you have family history of heart disease. I have a very strong family history of heart disease. So I've watched my levels for many, many years. I actually myself am on cholesterol medicine to help my levels stay down because I just really have a very, very strong family history. So I hope this kind of gives you just some little helpful ideas about what our numbers should be. You need to know what your number is. And if you haven't ever had a lipid panel done before, like I said, next time you go to the doctor, say, hey, can we do a lipid panel, just so you know what things are. So if you have any questions about today's lesson or have any ideas that you would like for us to discuss on here, please just kind of drop us a little line here on Facebook or on our YouTube channel also. So I hope everyone has a great day today, and remember to wear red on Fridays for Heart Month. Thanks, and have a great day.